The quick tip to level up your influencer income game. If you haven't checked out Webfluential yet, you're leaving money on the table. It's Africa's #1 platform for creators, hooking you up directly with brands ready to pay for your influence. With the Creator Pro dashboard, you can chat with brands, manage your collabs, and watch the cash roll in, all in one place. More brands flock to Webfluential than elsewhere in Africa because they know your reach delivers a serious bang for their buck. Ready to cash in? Swing by webfluential.com. Claim your profile and turn your audience into a paycheck today. Welcome to Micka on Influence, your go-to podcast for bold conversations and impactful insight into influencer marketing, content creation, and the ever-growing creator economy. Every week, we are diving deep into real stories, smart strategies, and game-changing moves, shaping this dynamic space. From top creators to brand strategists, CMOs to media planners, we bring you raw, actionable insight straight from the front lines. This is where influence meets intention. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Micka on Influence. Over the next few weeks, I will be chatting to some incredible individuals all about the world of influencing, media and marketing. We're about to have some bold, authentic conversations. And right now, joining me is co-founder of Webfluential, Legg. Welcome, Murray. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, Micka. Lovely to chat to you, particularly about this topic.
Yes, oh my goodness. I am very excited to be chatting to you, especially about influencing. I'm a millennial, Murray. I don't know if you can tell, but influencing is a pretty big deal in this day and age, and especially with my age group and my peers. So, before we get into the juicy parts of the conversation, okay, I want to get to know you a little bit. What does a typical day in the life of Murray Legg looks like? Do you have a specific routine that you follow and you stick to every single day?
Oh, that's a good question. I love routine. I was chatting to a friend about it yesterday. So he and I had a cycling coach that we shared, and we were both just commenting on like the best performance out of our days come if we have the structure. So, if we have structure for starting it with some activity in the morning, cycling or gym, and then spending some time with the kids, sometimes taking them to school. And then I guess the workday, particularly for me, I mean, I'm sort of at the position of looking after the strategy and the product of Webfluential. And the product really is our platform to connect brands and creators. So whether that's content production or seeing the way that relationships are happening, bringing new people onto the platform, educating the market about it. But it's really, I mean, I guess, the theme of what creators do is that they tell stories. So storytelling is a consistent every day in terms of, telling the world about what we're up to and how that can be used for good. So yeah, if there's structure and there's conversation with people that are interested in this new topic, then that's kind of when I'm at my best.
Okay. I also think that you are at your best when you are fishing. I know it's one of your favorite things to do. I just want to ask you real quick, what's the biggest fish? If you had to just show me in terms of like length, what's the biggest fish you've ever caught?
The trick with having the biggest fish is particularly when it's photographed is when you hold your hands very close to the camera and your face as far
Okay.
away from the camera as possible. Then you can have a tiny fish that looks massive.
Okay.
So, but I'd say it was fishing in Mauritius, catching a barracuda.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And did you catch like a massive, how big is a barracuda?
Yeah, it's about a meter long, so it gives you quite a fight.
Okay, it's almost as big as me then, Murray. Okay. So now I've got faith in you. You can definitely can handle the barracuda. You can handle me. Let's talk the world of influence, right? Now, the creator economy in Africa is projected to grow from 54 billion rand to about 325 billion by the year 2030. What fundamental shifts in the digital landscape is driving this explosive growth? What's happening for all of this to take place right now in this day and age?
Mika, I think Africa is such a hotbed for activity in the digital content creation space. So we've got, the continent with such a massive young population. I think globally it's the population with the biggest and youngest on average population. And as a result, we've got so many young people that are mobile first. So they have been born with this awareness of a phone, and that they're digitally connected, and they're chronically connected and dependent on the internet. And we also have, this growing GDP and consumer purchasing power of the African nation. So, you throw all of those things together into a bit of a melting pot, and what you get is opportunities for content creation, brand awareness, product discovery, social media kind of conversation about these brands, products, and experiences. So I think it's prime time for Africa. We're coming off a low base, so those growth rates seem pretty high. But on a nominal basis, to get to 3 trillion rands worth of opportunity size, it's pretty meaningful. So I think it's that, and I think so many people in Africa natively are great storytellers. So the product or the experience of content, and then as a result, the experience or awareness of products that come our way is very novel. And with payment rails and with online payment integrations, even stable coins and crypto, these things are making Africa such a great place to be, to watch the next 5 years unfold.
My goodness, yes, it sounds like it's exploding quite a lot. Talk to me about the creator triangle. Okay, this is a framework built around content, community, and commerce. Can you unpack these three elements exactly? How do they work? How does it tie in together? How do you explain it to someone like me, let's say, starting into the influencer market? I want to get into there, but I have to understand the framework behind it. Please break it down for me.
Sure. I guess as a career prospect, if you have to think about what other options there are for you as a young, dynamic, aspirational human, you have to invest a lot of your time and a lot of your money in an educational process if you want to follow sort of a traditional career path. The time to climb that corporate ladder, the amount of effort that you have to apply is meaningful.
Yep.
Whereas for a creator, if you're passionate about creating content and you have a unique personality that you're interested in sharing content with the people that are close to you, you really start with that first of the three, so content. And with a mobile phone and an internet connection and a few free apps, you can quite easily start producing content that's engaging and authentic. The next thing that you want to do is you want to share that with someone, because otherwise it's really existing as kind of in a vacuum. So the next piece is that you want to share that with your friends, with your family, and the broader internet, and see how that becomes your feedback loop. So then the rest of the internet says, we love this, we don't like this, we like this, we didn't like that, we shared this, we didn't share that. Those are the implicit kind of feedback loops that you get to learn about the content that you created and how the audience liked it. So it's almost like doing an A/B test. It's almost like doing a new product drop, but you don't have to wait for the whole cycle time of production of some brand, drop it into an audience, see the feedback. Here it's happening in literal real time. And once you've got that right, you then can say, okay, now I know what my style is, what the content is that I like to share, and how I'm getting traction with my audience, because my audience is now engaging with me. They're saying, we want more of this, we want less of this, we love this, we don't like it. And the final step is to kind of take it into a layer of commerce. Now, if we look at, there's a couple of ways to do that. One is to say, well, let's sell a digital product. Digital product is something that I can send to you that costs me nothing to create. There's no logistics involved. There's no shipping. There's no, having to find you when, during working hours or if you're away from your phone. And it can be infinitely scalable. So if I'm producing, we talked about fishing. If I produced a PDF on top tips to catch your biggest fish, And I created a PDF and I made that available to my audience and started selling that for $1 or two. There's any number of million people around the world that might want to buy that. And I can receive the revenue and I don't have to worry about the logistics. That's sort of the quickest experiment that I can run and start earning an income. I can also then start saying, well, maybe there are, if I've got a big enough audience, maybe there's brands in that fishing world, whether it's, producers of rods, reels, or
Yep.
nets that want to get me to talk about those products. Then I could say, okay, I'll talk about, a Shimano reel, and Shimano could maybe pay me for that. So I introduced that concept, and because I've got a strong following and can authentically deliver a message about my experience of that as a credible fisherman, then my audience might say, "Oh, we really like that." So Shimano would say, "Cool, we can pay this creator to produce content." And then lastly, there might be a commerce element where I then could say to my audience, "Guys, today or this week only, there's a 15% discount on this product experience where you can go and try and catch your biggest fish, put together by this tour operator. It involves traveling here. Special to you is this product." So I act as the distribution channel and the credibility and the marketing channel for that brand. So the brand doesn't have to worry about spending on advertising and producing high quality content. They can just ride on the social capital that I've spent my career building with my audience. And so that's how it flows. It's content into community, which then drives sort of that authenticity flywheel, and then that turns into commerce. So then you can unlock a revenue opportunity for yourself and for the brands that are interested in that audience.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. You've given me so much insight now, just mentioning how you would go about, and it's as easy as taking those three pillars and finding a way to connect to it, and putting yourself in the middle and seeing what can I sell, what do I have to offer, that kind of thing. So that's fun. I actually wanted to put you on the spot, but I'll leave that to later on. Okay, we'll see how that works out. What are some of the key barriers into preventing creators from achieving financial independence? And I'm asking this, Murray, because so many of the influencers, they want to be famous, they want to be celebrities, right? We want to show up to events and stuff like that. So we take it at face value. We look at the glitz and the glam and not necessarily how we're going to maintain financial independence over a long period of time. What is your advice towards any influencer that's looking to grow financial stability within the influencer market? How do they do that?
Yeah. I mean, one of my passions outside of fishing is investing. And I love learning about, the companies that have been around and the investors that have made a journey in, through a career. And recently, Warren Buffett said that he's going to retire as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway after a 60-year innings, and he's appointing a new CEO. He's going to stay on as chairman. But through that career, he's seen all sorts of things happen, and he has just stayed consistent to his investment thesis. So, I mean, we're in a crazy stage of the world right now where there's trade wars and there's inflation and there's all sorts of interesting things on the go. And Berkshire Hathaway holds the most amount of cash dollars that it's ever held, more so than almost the US government does. And
Whoa, that's crazy.
it's very contrary to what's out, what other investors are doing, where they're piling into, other investments. And really what it comes down to is for 60 years, he's been able to deliver consistent returns because he has stayed true to his thesis. And I think there's a lot of lesson for that in content creators is there's no quick win. Of course there's luck, and your first post that you share on TikTok may go absolutely viral and you become an overnight success. But that really is reserved for the exception. For everybody else who wants to make a career of this, I would give the advice to stay consistent in your message and in your thesis to your audience, and to just slowly grind away. So turn up every day, be consistent, give of your best, produce content to the highest quality, and you start developing a moat. And that moat of defensibility is your consistency and is your credibility with your audience. And that becomes durable. It
Yeah.
becomes an asset that you can earn on for years and years and years. But there's no quick rise to stardom. And if there is, your descent back into normality is probably going to be as fast. So
Mm.
yeah, that would be kind of the guidance I would be thinking about.
Hey marketers, got your coffee ready? Good, because Webfluential will make your influencer marketing activity much easier. As Africa's top creator platform, trusted by brands in over 130 countries, we are built to deliver results at scale. Our AI-powered matching finds you the perfect creators, and our end-to-end system takes care of the nitty-gritty, like contracts, payments, you name it. Plus, real-time dashboards gives you the numbers that matter: cost per acquisition, return on ad spend, and actual sales lift. Ditch the spreadsheets and get a platform that turns influence into revenue you can count on. Sign up or contact the team at webfluential.com and see the difference for yourself.
Okay, I want to break away real quick for some fun questions so I can also get to know you a bit more. If curiosity was a currency, what would your net worth be? And what would you invest it
Sure.
in?
Curiosity, I guess, killed the cat is the first place my mind jumps to. But yeah, so I'm an engineer,
Yeah,
and curiosity is core to that. You look at the world, you want to figure out how things work,
yeah.
and when they break, you want to figure out how to fix them.
Hmm.
And that sounds all good and well until you apply that to a relationship, and then your wife says, "But you mustn't try and fix things. You just have to
Mm.
listen to me."
There we
So,
go.
so curiosity is good in good measure, um, and I'm very curious. I love to unpack and explore and ask some basic questions about things. Um, and I think that that's a very human trait that is going to be sustained. Um, the the rise of artificial intelligence allows us to be able to explore the world's knowledge in a conversational way with a Claude or ChatGPT.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And, you actually don't need to consume social media to get educated. I mean, that's probably the worst place to get educated. But um, if you have to think about what your information diet is and what it's constituted of, in the same way that you would have your health, your food diet.
Yeah.
So your information diet is where do you go to find the information that is going to shape your worldviews and educate you and help you with topics of conversation, whether it's at a dinner party or, as a parent or as a friend. And your information diet is, you can complement that with your curiosity, I'd say. So if you are curious, all of this information and reasoning and objectification comes at you right from your phone now as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, I'd say I'd continue to invest into curiosity. I think it's a great place to spend time.
Good answer. Good answer. And then I want to ask you, if you could download knowledge from any person dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oof, yeah, that's definitely putting me on the spot. And I mean, so one of the um, I think everyone has, depending on their curiosity and at their stage of life, they've gone and accumulated a lot of information. And the people that, I mean, this is now related to influence,
Yes.
the people that we enjoy listening to are the people that are great storytellers and
Mm.
great sense makers. So they've
Yes.
taken information from the world,
Hmm.
they've run it through their own brain and their own framework, and they've allowed for that to be transferred to their audience. And I think maybe for me, it's less about the information that you might know, or any of these people dead or alive that have particular information. Nowadays, all that information is freely available on on the internet and through these large language models.
Yeah.
I think the people that are interesting to me are the people that had the framework to be able to digest and make sense of that. So if there was someone to point to, I'd say it was one of the Stoics. I'd say Seneca, who had a framework to manage kind of emotional volatility and strange things happening in the world. And if you have a good framework and a good information diet and a curiosity, then I think that's pretty cool. I think you'll have a good experience of life.
Yeah, I think you summed that out perfectly. Thank you so much. That was great. All right, back to the questions. Murray, in the world of influence and marketing, what fundamental patterns have you observed makes very good partnerships between the influencer and then the brand?
Yeah, Micka. So, I mean, it wasn't very long ago where, on a in the morning you'd go outside and you'd pick up your newspaper that was delivered to you. Some people still have that done, and you'd. I remember even some people would sit near the radio because they were waiting to hear the news at the top of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
And information traveled very slowly. I mean, it used to be like on a horse and cart in some cases, but there was always a time delay between what had happened and how the world found out about it. Television allowed for that to happen faster. The internet then just broke all the rules and allowed it to happen instantaneously.
Yep. Yeah.
But the nature of the medium was going to always affect the message. So the medium and the message are kind of two components of this influence story we talk about. And the medium, when that was print or a television station, the message that could be relayed on that was a one-directional message. So someone could write in a newspaper, this was the news, but there was no fact checking necessarily. It was the opinion potentially of that reporter or editor. So there was this implied bias in the message because of the medium.
Okay.
But now the medium has changed.
Yep.
So the nature of the message changes as well. And where, just relating this to your question, a brand would typically have the message to say, we're the best and we're good at this thing. There's no one else that touches us. And when you read that in a newspaper, I mean, who are you to argue that the message was any different?
Right.
But now, because of the internet, and because, things can be held to the light of the audience actually has the say as to what they like or don't like about the brand. And I think the message there for brands is the things that work well is when the brand is not so precious that it requires that a particular message must be told about it. When it trusts itself and can turn up authentically enough that an audience can say, you are in fact the best brand for what we need. You do in fact provide the best value, or we'd love it if you just changed this one thing, or if you just made it available over here. Whatever that feedback is. So it's an exciting time for brands because they get this real-time feedback, but it's also a scary time because when you put something out into the world, you subject yourself to the risk that people don't like it. So it's really calling on brands to be to really make sure that they hold true to their brand values and ethics, because if you don't, someone's going to find out about it and it's going to be talked about. So that would be my guidance: is have the conversation, be okay with the fact that other people are talking about your brand, and the fact that there are people out there with a way bigger, more established, more connected community behind them than the brand does. And that can be an absolute opportunity, or it can be your biggest threat. So the brands that are willing to walk that road and expose themselves to that are the ones that I think are going to win. And I think the bravest brands are the ones that do work with creators. If we think about an example there, I mean, there's a lot recently, but in terms of celebrities or sportsmen that have said, you know what, we really love this brand. Whether it's come out of R&D. Let's think about On Shoes and Roger Federer. So he saw those shoes early. He worked with them and said, I'd like this kind of a response. I'd like this kind of a feel. He worked with them to perfect the offering of On Shoes, whether they're on the court or off. And he said, you know what, you don't have to pay me to talk about it. I'll just take 3% of the equity of On Shoes as my payment. If it's worth nothing in the end, it's worth nothing. But if it's worth something, then I helped you get there. And that value of the 3% of On Shoes is actually worth more than his entire career of tennis winnings.
Wow.
Because he worked with the brand. And now the brand is incredible. I mean, we walk around a shopping center and we could see people wearing them. Where 5 years ago, I wasn't aware of that brand. So a lot can happen in a short space of time.
Yeah.
And when brands can embrace these relationships with creators, I think there's some really fun things that.
I like that. To wrap it up, what are some of the unique advantages we as African creators have that the rest of the world maybe don't have?
Well, I think there's kind of a blank canvas, and there's the marketplace has all the infrastructure. So if we think infrastructure for technology, we've got the mobile phones, we've got the mobile operators, we've got the software providers, we've got the image storage, whether it's AWS, GCP, Azure. We've got the payment rails from MasterCard, Visa, we've got all the banks in place. We've got the social networks where most people are connected.
Yeah.
And those are all the little puzzle pieces that if you assemble them correctly and you have what we talked about, the curiosity and the authenticity and the credibility, you have this unique opportunity to establish yourself on the continent as one of these creators. And as a result, you can have a lot of fun doing it, and you can earn a really good sustainable income. So, it's our ambition to create 1,000 millionaires within the next 3 years. And that sounds ambitious, but whether it's possible or not, I think we've got enough people who are aspiring enough. They've been brought up with hardships and with difficulties because they haven't had a lot of the luxuries and gifts of what maybe some of the populations in the Western world have been given. But Africa has this incredible grit, and the grit to succeed and to persevere despite the odds is probably the secret sauce that would make up for all the things that the West has, whether it's money or distribution or access to network or access to brands, whatever it is. But that grit, play that out, let that compound over 5 years, and I think we're going to have some spectacular content creators and value creation opportunities for these content creators in the next 5.
Yes. Okay, we're about to create some fire content creators. And you at home that follows the podcast, make sure you go like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms at Micka on Influence. That was Murray Legg. He's co-founder of Webfluential and Chief Strategy Officer as well. Murray, it's been so real. It's been great chatting to you. I've learned a lot, and I can't wait to talk to you again so we can continue this conversation and hopefully create more billionaires with our influences in Africa.
Thank you, Micka. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining.
That's a wrap on this episode of Micka on Influence. I hope you're walking away with fresh insights and new ideas to level up your influencing game. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and like, and also share with your network. Join the community obsessed with mastering the art and science of influence. Because in this space, we don't just follow trends, we create them. Until next time, keep creating, keep connecting, and stay influential.